Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I am Ralph Labella.
And I'm Ron Sen. Today I was having a conversation, believe it or not, with a Super 8 hockey coach. And we were talking about the primacy of practice, how important it is to practice. He was talking that he's got a player that the Division I college scouts are looking at, and they say, I love the way the kid skates, he handles the puck, he hustles, gets back on defense. He says there's only one thing. He has terrible body language. If things aren't going his way, he hangs his head, gets all frustrated. It's really important. I always tell players, you have to come to practice with the idea that you're going to be the best player on the floor that day. And you have to do that every day, because becoming exceptional means being exceptional every day. It's not a part-time experience. Excellence has to become a habit.
Yeah, especially in, you have sixth grade, I have seventh now, and practice is so important. Number one, you got to go over the plays, you got to get the plays down perfect, and when you're missing a lot of practices, then you worry about that play, and they're not going to get on the court, as much as they should. But when you have a dedicated group, like luckily we've had over the years, it's fun to watch how much better they get because they're coming to practice and working hard, seeing them from the beginning of the year to see them at the end of the year and see the difference in the player and the team.
Well, there's two people at a basketball practice that can't have a bad practice, the point guard and the coach. The coach absolutely has to be into it. And if you're doing it as an avocation, part-time, your hobby, what you really enjoy, it's hard not to be excited about practice. Maybe if you're an NBA or a college coach and the grind is getting to you, especially if your team is struggling, I can understand how you might feel down at times, but if you want to be successful, you've got to bring energy every day.
Yeah, and you look at, different teams like this team that I'm coaching now, and you know them. You coached with me last year, and you've been helping me out this year at times. You do have your team, the sixth graders, but I look at my team, and the first time, and probably in all the years I've coached travel teams, to me, you're working hard in practice, and you're going to work hard during the summertime. But with this group, I'm looking at it from a different view. I'm saying, even if you work and put all the time in, and even if they put all the time in the games, some of them just aren't the ultimate competitor. And that's what the problem I'm having right now with my group. I have a number of players that really compete at a high level. Then I have some players who don't want to compete at a high level against super talent.
Well, that's what this other coach was telling me today. He said, I have a lot of kids who are really skilled players. They're really good players, but the exceptional player is the one who can bring that competitiveness, the aggressiveness, and he said, and you can't teach that. It has to come from within. How does a player get that? I think to a success, it's inherent, but if they can have some success, then that can also ramp their energy level up a bit.
And I think confidence, and the confidence has to come through them, not us. They have to understand that you get confidence by being successful. But what I see is when they're going up against teams and they know they're better than, and they have confidence. Like last night we played a team, right? Lower division than we normally play. We've been playing in the A-League all year against real good teams. So we play a team from the B division, and we beat them 54-22. And you could see it in our team. They all were playing with confidence, and you could see the level they were playing at. And I'm thinking, when they're going up against other teams, and they don't have that same confidence, some of the players, and you see it, and you don't see the same effort.
Well, I got a nice note recently from a parent, and the note said, appreciate what you've done, but more than that, I feel like my daughter has more confidence that she can be successful in whatever she does, and that she's willing to work to become successful both at basketball and other parts of her life, and that I didn't really see that from her at the beginning of the year, but now she believes that the work you put in will show up as output, so the process will affect the outcome, and that's been a huge confidence builder for it. That's really the great thing about being a coach. I'm sure you remember your Little League coach, your high school coaches for basketball or baseball, and what they did for you, more so than you might some other teacher who taught an important subject, your English teacher or whatever.
Yeah, I'm getting back to, you look at that, and I say to myself, one player last night was playing a good game, One play, she took off, she let a girl get inside it, she stood there, let the girl get the rebound and score. I call, you know me, I call a quick timeout. And I get on it big time about it, you know, and I'm looking at it like I'm very demanding. You know how my coaching style, and I expect them to give 100% every second they're out there. And this is a person who normally gives 100%, but one time she falls asleep out there and lets a girl get inside her and get the rebound. And what I'm trying to get, and they're 7th graders, what I'm trying to get them to understand is that every second you're out there, you got to give max effort.
Well, a couple of years ago, Lexington had not beaten Melrose girls basketball in, I don't know, 15 years, maybe more. They came into Melrose. The first 2 plays, they got offensive rebounds and scores. We're up 4-0. It wasn't very effective boxing out. Now, Melrose ended up losing the game, I think, by 1. So people would say, well, gee, look at the second half, this, that. No, the game, those 2 plays where a simple block out could have taken 4 points off the board meant just as much as anything that happened in the fourth quarter. Every play counts. And if you don't do it that play, then you've got to make the next play. So do something positive every play. Do the next right thing right.
Right, and every game, like, you know the situation. Every game, every period, every play, it's big. I tell the girls, every game we're in, it's a huge game. And I try to make them see how I feel going into a game, no matter who we're playing. It's a big game. We want to give 100%. And I'm constantly telling them, you know, we're there. The parents are there. The fans are there. You know, I'm there. I want to be entertained. I want you to entertain your parents. I want you to entertain the people. We played one game in a tournament that we ended up winning. You and Jeff were there. In the first game we played against Evolution, which is an AAU team, we played unbelievable. Ron, I had people coming up to me who I didn't even know, that weren't even parents of either teams, come up to me and say, what a great game your team played. You know, well coached, they're disciplined, they work hard the whole game. When you say that, that's what I'm trying to get across to the girls. I say, you're there to entertain everyone.
Right, and we played a team, I don't remember which team it was, you know, with you a few years ago, and the other team was just fantastic defensively on the ball. You remember, I don't remember which, but
the tournament,
they were absolutely great. So you say to your kids, you say, that's how you have to play. And it's okay if you're not really up to that level, but you should aspire to be able to play at that level. And for people to have goals as well as having a plan to reach their goals is just so important.
And you don't have to win every game.
No,
the
absolutely.
best game's a Nashua game. We played Nashua, a powerhouse. They beat us by 30 points during the season. We played them in a tournament last week run. They beat us by 2. It was a great game. The ending, if it went another minute, we would have beat them. We had the pressure on them. We just took it to them at the end of the game. The girls played unbelievable. That's what it's about. I said after the game, what's better than this? Forget about wins and losses.
Well, we'll switch gears. We're past the NFL Combine. And in between the Combine and the free agency, there was a big meeting between Jameis Winston, who may be the top draft choice, and Roger Goodell. Winston asked for the meeting, apparently to be able to tell his story. Now, that's his story and he's sticking to it. Obviously, there was no word from Goodell as to, you know, what was going to go from there.
That's about fixing the game? Is that the word?
I don't know. I apparently met with him for over 4 hours about all the different things that have happened. Now, Winston's had issues with sexual assault issue, about shoplifting, about inappropriate speech in front of women. Raised the question about whether he might have shaved points or done something in a game to benefit a friend who had a bet on the game. I mean, there's a litany of issues with Winston, and I guess he's trying to sell himself or remake himself as a choir boy now.
Yeah, he's the most talented player in the draft. I mean, he's going to be number 1. I mean, he's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. He has all the tools, you know, and he's great in the pocket, tall, strong, throws the ball well. So, you know.
Well, we've got to talk about free agency, and Robert Kraft is the 381st richest person on the planet, according to Forbes. His net worth is $4.3 billion. I don't begrudge him that. He's worked very hard. He made a lot of great investments, including buying the Patriots. He moved up 200 spots this year. However, you've got to invest sometimes to make even more money, and time will tell whether the Patriots decisions to let both cornerbacks go, whether it's a style decision or money, exactly what it is, or whether Revis was never coming back is going to be the answer.
Yeah, but I mean, it goes deeper than that. I don't think it's about the money with Kraft. I think it's about the money with Belichick, because if they signed Revis, they would have had no money to sign anyone else. I mean, they would have had their team coming back. They would have had real small money. I mean, if they gave Revis the $16 million guaranteed, they're right at the cap. So forget about signing. Who did they just sign for?
Well, I think
$4 million.
if you structure it in a way where you're
Well,
giving a
bonus.
signing bonuses prorated over the terms of the contract. So if you gave somebody a $20 million signing bonus over 4 years, guaranteed, that's $5 million against the cap, and then you can adjust the salaries to backload that.
Then you get hit at the end too. I mean, like they got hit with $5 million on Revis now.
Right.
Revis is gone. They got to pay $5 million.
Right.
So you're going to get hit with that sometime.
He's the number 8 player on their team as far as charges against the cap right now, even though he's not on the team anymore.
But you know, you give him that money, that's 10% of your cap right there. If you give him the $16 million guaranteed.
Well, it all
almost.
depends, but you can structure it in different ways. Now, obviously, the other issue about guaranteed money, there's performance guarantee, injury guarantee, et cetera. And if you guarantee a player $39 million, let's say, or $40 million over the life of their contract, you have to put that money into escrow. You have to take that money out of some other account you have and put it in with the NFL so that they know that player has that money. And
well, that's Kraft there. It's not Belichick.
Well, I know, that's Kraft. And the question is, since they just took the $24 million for Brady last year to take that money out of escrow, is there a cash flow issue in some way, some business, not even related to the Patriots, that the Krafts need to do something? Now, obviously, if you're the Krafts, you could say, we're going to put 10% of the team up for public auction, as it were. You could issue stock just like the Green Bay Packers. And if you said the team is worth $2.4 billion, you could say we're going to offer 10 million shares of stock at $24 a share. That you get $240 million. You get $240 million of cash money that comes to you right away. Now, you don't have that same ownership stake, but that 10% that the fans own isn't going to affect any decisions because they're not going to have voting shares. Now, I'm not saying that the Kraft should have done that. I don't know what the cash flow situation is. I know they're not hurting for money, but they're much smarter about money than I am. So if they wanted to do something like that because there's cash flow issues, they certainly could.
Yeah, I just think Belichick doesn't believe in. I mean, $16 million guaranteed, $39 million guaranteed over the 3 years. And if he didn't play his third year, it's still $39 million. Yeah,
well, obviously he didn't. And then the Jets today signed Antonio Cromartie for a 4-year, $32 million contract. Miami obviously signed Ndamukong Suh, which is, I don't know about that. He's kind of a nuthead, and I think he's likely to blow up because that's the nature of who he is.
They're trying to get to the next stage, Miami, by making that move, and I would never have given him the money. He's crazy. You don't give someone like him that much money. They're still not going to beat the Patriots out in the next 3 years. So they could have used that money for other players. But, I mean, they have a pretty good team, but you saw what the Patriots did against them when they played Detroit. He couldn't even get near Brady. He was getting rid of the football too quick.
Right. The NFL is a strange place. If you look take Indianapolis. Indianapolis, what was the weakness of their team? Their defense. No, so what did they do? They went out and signed Frank Gore and Andre Johnson, so they get more offense. I mean, you're going to win every game 50-48? I don't know, maybe.
Right, and you still got to see what the Pats are going to do. They haven't had the draft yet. They haven't signed, they can still make a trade. You haven't seen that yet, and they still have plenty of money now. I mean, by not making that deal with Revis, aren't they like $15 million? Well, they just signed 2 people, but one was...
As of this morning, I think they were $10 million under the cap.
That's after signing, what's that?
Jabal Sheard, who was on the Browns. But that did not count the restructuring of Amendola, which happened today. So they're estimating that'll be another $2 million. So they should be about $12 million under.
And you got to figure Mayo's going to be too.
Right, and you've got to keep some money for your draft choices and some cushion. Now, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with Gerard Mayo, and they do need some backup linebackers.
Well, my thinking is that Mayo will be coming back if they don't sign Wilfork, because you're going to want a leader there. And I know Belichick loves Mayo, so if he comes back, that defense will be strong there. They have Chris Jones with another year experience. Easily, hopefully, he'll be healthy. The guy that just signed Sheard.
Well, they have Silver Salinga, who's decent.
You know, and who knows if they sign Branch, they're thinking they may be signing Branch back too. So they should be strong in the front seven. And it's good, you know, whoever they get. I mean, I like Butler. I liked him before he made those plays. I like Dennard. You know, Dennard didn't play much because of, you know, his legal problem. Plus, he was injured. Arrington, who I was down on, played great up until the Super Bowl.
Right. I mean, it would be nice if they had a bigger cornerback to match up against some of these really tall Vincent Jackson type receivers that they've struggled with at times in the past.
Well, and plus, don't forget, Chung had a good season at safety. He was better this time than the first time he was with them. And then you have Harmon, and you have McCourty. So it's not as bad as people think. If they can get one more cornerback, a good, solid cornerback, they'll be all set back there.
All right, well, the guy I'd like to see him get on a short-term deal is Tremont Williams, Green Bay Packers. He's a good number 2 cornerback. You're not going to get a number 1 at this point unless you get him via the draft. And they're not going to, obviously, I don't see them moving up in the draft.
And I want to see him put Amendola as a back when they're in third down situations.
Now, Philadelphia, I don't know what they're doing. They get rid of LaShawn McCoy. They say he's got too much money. And then they signed DeMarco Murray, Shane Matthews, and they already have Sproles. I mean, if you want to run the ball, how many running backs do you need? I mean, Chip Kelly's a really smart guy, and I think he'll have a good program. But you know, they traded away Foles for Bradford. Bradford has talent, but you know, he's always hurt.
But now the Patriots backs, they're in pretty good shape. I mean, they may draft one, and they may get that guy from Washington.
They have Blount, they have White. You're right. There's a lot
White
of talk,
I don't like.
There's a lot of talk about Roy Halou, and then Bolden.
In Gray.
Right, in Gray. So.
And Ridley will be back.
I don't know. I think Ridley.
They'll sign it for small money. I'm telling you, man. Who's going to give him money after being injured?
Probably nobody.
I think he'll be all right. I mean, he's still their best runner all around.
I mean, but there have been so many big moves. Look at the Seahawks trading for Jimmy Graham.
How did they get Graham? What's New Orleans doing?
Well, they traded their center.
He must be real good.
Yeah, the center's good.
Well, don't they have that good backup center too?
Well, they must have somebody. But you know, obviously the Seahawks didn't stand pat. They went out and they're going to get some more receivers because their best tight end had something like 24 catches.
The Pats offense, we're going to talk about them later, but the Pats offense is going to be great again.
We'll talk a little bit more after the break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. For tonight's sports conversation, we have Matt Ibrahim from Athletic Evolution. He's going to talk to you about what he does and a new program he's developing. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about your program.
Cool. So I work at Athletic Evolution in Woburn as a strength and conditioning coach. but I have a background in physical therapy and rehabilitation, and I'm trying to go to school for that. So what I work on is essentially building up people that need to be fixed. So what that means is whether it's posture that's broken down, mechanics, like they're moving incorrectly, get them to move better, feel better, and perform better. Essentially just optimizing their overall health and performance to be a better human being.
And what kind of age group are you working with?
Anything and everything, really. So we have youth over there, we have middle school, high school, adult level. If you're a human being, I consider you an athlete, and I'm willing to work with you, and we're willing to work with you.
Do you mostly have teams or individuals that come in?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We have a mix of teams, just groups of ages, and as well as just adult population, and kind of everything kind of runs as a family over there. So it's really nice.
Okay, so what's the sort of prototypical, if you said, what kind of client is the right person to come and see you?
Someone who, for me specifically, someone who has just finished physical therapy and is looking to bridge the gap between, their pre-injury levels, but they're not sure how to get back to that. They've been cleared from a doctor, they're ready to go from rehab, but they don't need physical therapy anymore. So how do I bridge that gap from pre-injury fitness levels? Well, I'm someone who can help you bridge the gap, where I kind of take someone who's at low threshold, 0, and bring them back to 100, where it's high threshold. So kind of bringing them through past physical therapy, more so kind of bridging the gap from rehabilitation to performance.
So analogous to a work hardening program.
Exactly.
Okay.
So basically, do you work more with people that trying to get in better shape, not knowing what sport they're in, or do you have someone come to you and say, listen, I'm a basketball player, my coach told me my footwork isn't proper?
Yeah.
I mean, you ever get people coming in?
Definitely, yeah. So we work with, our big thing is movement, speed, quickness, strength conditioning. So if you need something specifically for strength, we can work with you. Olympic lifting, we can work with you. Speed, mechanics, how to become faster, jump higher, be stronger. There's always different niches and aspects of our field. Our thing is to make everyone more well-rounded to be a better overall athlete.
All right, so we read in the paper about the Athletic Performance Institute in Arizona, or the Fisher Institute, because it's the same idea.
Same exact
without
idea.
as much name.
Yeah, so Athletes Performance out in Arizona, there's a few of them. They're now called Exos, it's their new name. I consider them to be the gold standard. That's what we do as well. Same exact thing, whether you're athletes or clients or adult members, we work with you to become a better overall human being and move and with more function and have more fun, right?
What do you have there for equipment?
There is everything. So we have squat racks, we have Olympic lifting platforms, we have dumbbells, kettlebells, ropes, medicine balls, prowler sleds, 70 yards of turf. Anything you'd need in a gym, we have all the toys.
Now, do you have people, like teams coming, like say I coach a basketball team.
Yes.
Do you have groups coming, like maybe
Yeah,
5
of
or
course.
6 players come together?
Yeah, of course.
Do
So
you
we
work on
have
the same thing though, or will one player say, well, I need to work on my quickness?
Yeah, it's a great question. So what we have an overall, our program based on, it's everything from speed, agility, mobility, performance, strength, the power lift, so on and so forth. However, when we need modifications or little things to be corrected or specific for each individual, we'll add them as we go, because as with everything in life, everything needs to be modified on a week-to-week basis. So there's always little things we add. So let's say you have Joe and Larry, and Larry's strong, but Joe has speed. We want, Joe to be better at strength, and then Larry to be better at speed. So we kind of counteract the two. It's individualized based on the overall program. So.
Yeah, certainly most basketball programs can benefit by everything, but
Yep.
In our program, I think we need more quickness, more than anything else. Some of the kids could certainly use some strengthening, but quickness is really, some of the communities just have either athletes or they've trained them up to the point that we can't always compete on the same level playing field, as it were.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So my big thing is you look in the local high schools now, and I guess for maybe financial reasons, but the most part, you don't see a qualified trainer or strength conditioning coach within the facilities. So that's why I think it's great for athletes in local towns to come to a high, a performance center like us, where they can get that training or hire someone who's qualified for the position. Because when you have no training program set in place, it's hard to become better, at your sport, jumping, landing mechanics, speed, quickness, like you had mentioned, strength, and all those things, because it has to be on a periodized program over a period of time. So you measure at baseline, you measure at X amount of months down the line, see why I've gotten better through different, analysis and so forth, so on and so forth.
Why are a lot of girls that play high school basketball and college basketball especially, why are they having problems with their knees?
Great question.
What can they do to, take advantage and become stronger?
Yeah, big thing. So ACL injury prevention is humongous in the middle school, high school, and collegiate setting. Well, women of all ages, but mostly that setting, because they're still going through their growth plates and they're still kind of coming into form from their bodies. But the other thing too is the reason why women have they're more susceptible to ACL injuries and knee injuries and stuff of that nature is because they have what's called a wider Q angle. What that means is their hips anatomically are wider for giving birth and for other reasons as well. That puts their knee angle, shifts it inward, which makes it more susceptible to be, ACL tears, MCL, PCL, meniscus, and so on and so forth. To try to avoid that, what we implement is an injury prevention program specific to knee rehab and so on and so forth. So what we do is we sprinkle injury prevention exercises, drills, mobility drills, rehab drills, all within our program from start to finish. We try to sneak it in this because if we're doing all of it at once, athletes aren't going to like that. It's low threshold, but it's very important. So it's not as important as how high someone jumps, but how are they landing. If you see a common mistake you see when, especially in the female population, when they're landing, they have a tendency to bring their knees in, which is feeding the bad thing that we want to avoid. So what we try to cue is melt your heels into the floor when you land. Take the weight of landing down and push the knees out to counteract that force. Use your hips. Your hips and your glutes are there for a reason. There's a reason why those muscles are bigger than other areas of the body, because it's meant to take on the force and the load, whereas the knees can take a break. A simple analogy I like to use is if you're driving a car, the glutes, the butt, the backside, the posterior chain muscles, they're the driver. The knees are the baby in the back seat being driven. That's how it should be treated.
Now, I've read that as far as younger athletes getting into weight training and so forth, they should at least be at peak height velocity. Do you have an age recommendation for starting your athletes on training?
Yeah, I think we have a youth program, and they start anywhere from 5 to 6 years old. Now, what a 5-year-old is doing versus an 18-year-old is incredibly, monumentally different. But at the same time, they're doing something to help them in that vicinity. So, for example, if I have a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, anywhere from 5 to 8 or 9, it's mostly body weight exercise. It's quick speed drills, movement mechanics, stuff of that nature, to get them moving correctly without really using the weight so much. However, when we go down the chain and move upstream in age, that's when we kind of introduce them to weights, some of the Vertimax power jumping drills, plyometric drills, some of the strength and conditioning drills that we do on the platforms, and so on and so forth. So they have to kind of become older and become better at what they're doing to earn the right to use the weights.
Do you do baseline testing on the athletes and then put them through the program and reassess?
Of course, yeah. So specific to basketball and jumping related sports such as volleyball, basketball, and so on and so forth, we do vertical jumping, broad jumping, and we'll test them at baseline in terms of how much power output they've done, how high they've gone, and we'll measure that over a period of time. Let's say we have athletes come in for a 3-month program. Measure them at baseline, measure them halfway through, then measure them at the end to see how they've gotten better and why, and also if there's a leak in the chain somewhere where they haven't gotten better, we'll address it immediately so that we can make sure they all get better evenly throughout the whole program.
No, I know for basketball players especially in high school, that it's very important that you stretch those ligaments down where your Achilles is and your calf muscles. Yep. What do they do for that? Talk about that.
So that's huge. So it's never good to stretch a cold muscle, right? We've all heard that at some point. So yes, it's true. So the big thing is it's not a great idea to just start a static stretch. So what a static stretch means is to just hold still. So if I'm leaning up against the wall, classic runner stretch, where I'm leaning against the wall, 45-degree angle, my back heel's on the ground, that is a good stretch, but not something recommended to do before you're going to exercise. Why? Because during exercise, there's the power. We're having power output. What that means is we want our muscles to do this: snap. Power output. We can't do that if we're just elongating a muscle. We need put it through mobility drills, dynamic movement preparation drills, whether it's ground-based, whether they're moving, let's say 10 yards and back, stuff of that nature. Now, specific to the ankles, big thing we do is ankle mobility drills, whether that's with the wall, we're driving our knees into the wall back and forth, we're driving our pinky toe to the wall, left big hallux toe to the wall. What that does is that mobilizes the joint in the ankles and the calves, the Achilles, and so on and so forth, till we kind of warm those up before we jump and run.
Okay. Tell us, I guess you're starting a new program. Tell us about that.
So what I'm trying to do is raise people's awareness on how to fix their posture, how to optimize their performance, and how to basically become a better overall, healthier version of themselves as a human being. Because the way I look at it is everyone has athletic capabilities, regardless of age. Now, obviously, at certain levels, it's different, but my thing is we should all have the ability to move and function correctly and be healthy. So what I've started is called mobility101blog.com. The theory behind that is that I want to help everyone improve the overall health and performance. But like I said, so if that's fixing your posture, if that means moving correctly, so kind of fixing some asymmetries, some patterns where it's not efficient as it could be, and once we can kind of get the ball rolling in those areas, then we can add load and add weight. So a simple analogy I like to use is if you're building a house, you cannot build the house unless it has a good foundation. You need the foundation. If you're building a house on quicksand, at some point that building or that house is going to collapse. You need to have a good foundation. Foundation to me is nice posture. Can you utilize your core correctly? Can you pull correctly? Can you hip hinge correctly? Once we do all this correctly, then we can add load, add external resistance, add weight, and have fun with our exercises. But the basics, the 101 aspect of learning the basics through workshops and so on and so forth in my blog is what I'm really trying to get after to help people.
Why are people coming back faster from tears?
ACL tears? Well, I think Adrian Peterson is a freak, and not many human beings have his capabilities. So I think him having done that, I think in the last few years or so, has kind of made other, let's say, younger athletes, I can come back early too. My big thing is, there's that huge gap. So ACL tear happens, you get the surgery. The big question mark, and you'll talk to physios and chiros, and they'll say, and doctors as well, physicians, that the 4 to 6 month gap is usually when they're, okay, you're clear to go, typically for most athletes, younger athletes. What do I do next? So there's that huge gap. We've seen players like Wes Welker and so on and so forth come back, and that psychological aspect has been kind of like, they're not there yet. Because they're not ready to take on the load, because that has gone under traumatic injury and stresses, and it takes a long time to come back. General outlook of coming back fully recovered is typically 9 to 12 months. Those numbers may skew depending on age, pre-injury fitness and levels, and also how well they strengthen it during rehab.
So what do you get them, like after 6 or 7 months you get them? Basically.
I'm someone they'd come to who has a physical therapy background and can kind of bridge the gap where we're not going to push them over the ledge. We're going to walk with them and guide them so that it's a step-by-step process.
So you have that expertise.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts on what common misconceptions or where athletes can go wrong with their training? This is what somebody says I should do, but that's not a good idea.
I think a big thing we see is specific to high school football players. I should be eating everything, drinking all these protein shakes, and so on and so forth. Yes, but to a certain extent. So I think that's an area us as strength and conditioning coaches and really just health, people in the health field, helping people that need the education, teaching them why certain things are right in terms of protein intake and supplements, and what not to take, why it's not good to take, and what is good to take and why. And also, is it applicable to you and what you're trying to do? Because if it's not, there's a good thing. And natural food is great. You can use natural food. It's not going to harm you. I think that's where we go wrong. But also, you see, what are the 2 exercises you see everyone do when they step into the weight room? Bicep curls and bench pressing. Great exercises. There's nothing wrong with them. But how is a bicep curl going to help you in your sport? It's a one-dimensional exercise. We're not using compound movements such as a squat or deadlift. We're using multiple joints and really imitating patterns and movements we would do in the sport. So something like a broad jump or a jump like a box jump where you jump on the box, that's power output. That can translate into football, soccer, other power sports as well. Whereas a bicep curl, it's going to look great. You have a beach body and so on and so forth, but is it applicable to the sports? I think selecting the wrong exercise when we begin out is a common misconception we see.
Okay. Thanks for joining us tonight, Matt. We Learned a lot, great information, and good luck with your program.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Scott Duggan, Director of Strength and Conditioning, Athletic Evolution. Thank you for tuning in for a quick look at our athletic performance programs with the help of Haley Matei. Thank you for tuning in for a quick look of our athletic performance training. We hope that you guys will come out to Woburn, Mass. and check us out here at Athletic Evolution. As you can see behind me, we have 70 yards of full turf. We also have Vertimax and Kaiser equipment to help train power output for all of our athletes. We work hand in hand with the McKaylee Center for Injury Prevention to help make sure all of our athletes stay safe, make sure they don't get any injuries on the field. Injury prevention is a huge component of what we do. We have youth, middle school, high school, and college athletic enhancement programs. We also do sport-specific programs for those athletes looking to train in one particular sport, focus on the performance demands and preventing injuries associated with that sport. Located in Woburn, Mass, 78C Olympia Ave. Hopefully you guys will come down 95 or 93 where they intersect and check us out.
And another thing, we wanted to talk about the Patriots offense. Tom Brady should be good for another year or two as long as they can keep him upright. What do you think, Ralph?
Well, remember we talked last year and during the show, we said he's going to be as good as the offense behind him. You know, he still got the talent, you know, and if he has good players, offensive line plays well, he'll play great. It's as simple as that. If the offensive line breaks down, he's not going to be like he was when he was younger. being able to move out of the pocket quickly, feel the pressure, get rid of the ball. You can see under pressure it gets to him a little more than it used to. But you have the team behind you. He's still the best quarterback in football. And he showed it against Baltimore, showed it against Indianapolis, and he definitely showed it against Seattle.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what direction they go in. For example, against Seattle with the big physical cornerbacks, they went to short, quick passing game, and Seattle, I won't say they struggled, but they did allow 4 touchdowns. Obviously, other teams in the NFL aren't stupid. They can identify what worked, and you think that Seattle's going to get challenged in the same way. Now, the Patriots, if you look at, to me, the free agent receiver out there that looks like he could be a fit for them, kind of a possession receiver, good hands, is Hartline from the Dolphins.
Didn't he sign with someone?
No, did he?
He signed with someone. The
I
Pats were after him.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, the Pats, he signed with someone else.
There's a lot of talk that they're going to go after Reggie Bush to do the Vereen role.
I like that guy from Washington. I saw some clips of him.
Hello?
I like him. I like to see them sign him. They're all right in running back. I know you don't like Ridley was hurt last year. A lot of fans don't like him. They'll be able to get him for short money. They have Gray. They're solid in running back run. They need a receiver coming out.
Well, another guy who would be a useful addition if they could get him for reasonable money would be Scott Chandler from Buffalo, the tight end. He's killed them in the past. Now, obviously, just the fact that he's not on Buffalo is going to help them.
But I think they're all set. They're pretty much set. And the offensive line's the key, like we were talking. Get another young offensive lineman. But a couple of those backups came through against Baltimore and Indianapolis when I think Conley was hurt. He was out for one game, I think the Baltimore game. So they played well, and they need that one young offensive lineman. They have Stork. I'd like to see them get one of those Florida State linemen. There's 4 coming out. But they're solid there. I mean, Edelman, to me, I have more confidence in Edelman than just about any receiver in football. No one can cover Edelman. You can cover some of the top receivers, the ones that go downfield, the long striders, guys like Revis and Sherman and them, they can cover them. They can't cover Edelman. None of those cornerbacks will want to cover Edelman. He's too quick at the line of scrimmage.
Well, he made in the Super Bowl the game-winning play, what I call the Edelman cut. Normally, if you're going to cut to the left, you plant off your inside foot, the right foot. What he went down, he ran almost like it was going to be a slant and cut off his left foot and spun and got wide open, which they'd run the same play earlier, but Brady kind of made a terrible pass on that one.
That's why I'm saying no one can cover him. The big, long striders, they can't make those same moves. He's shorter and quicker, and then he can explode downfield if they try to overplay him on those. So, to me, Edelman is one of the top receivers in football. They got the best tight end in football. I have so much respect for Amendola now. I mean, everybody was down on him. He was unbelievable in the playoffs. You talk about hard-nosed. He plays as tough as Edelman plays. He ran back a kickoff one time, and he had 2 people in front of him. He just drilled both people. And even on a reception, the linebacker and the cornerback coming up on him.
Well, he had the reputation of being easily injured, and obviously got through the whole season. The other guy who had a terrific year was LaFell, who I think it was against the Colts. The defensive back had his right arm pinned against his body, and he caught it with his left hand in the end zone. So I think they have enough at receiver, especially we don't know if Aaron, what's his name? The guy who never does anything. Dobson, yeah, if he'll ever do anything.
But that's the guy I like. I think he can be like LaFell run.
Well, he could be.
Dobson's healthy. He's got the same size. He's about 6'1". He's strong.
I think he's even taller.
Is he?
Yeah, I think he may be 6'3".
So I think Dobson's that receiver. I think the Pats are they're set on the receiver.
Yeah, I don't think they re-signed Timms. We'll see what goes on there.
And then Brady. I mean, Brady was just unbelievable in the playoffs.
All right, we'll switch gears to the Celtics. Winners of 7 of their last 10, 14 out of their last 24. They're fun to watch. I'm not saying they're going to go far in the playoffs if they even make the playoffs, but it's not boring anymore.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know how it is. I love the young players. I love these players. What did we talk about 2 shows ago? I said the thing that's going to get them better is they get some of these European players.
Well, right. They got Datomi and Jerebko, guys who really know how to play. I mean,
and they're fun to watch.
Right. They know how to use their body. These European players, you leave them alone out by the three-point line, they make them because that's how they play. Whereas, I like Crowder, but he's hit or miss on the threes. And Smart, he takes too many threes for my taste, but he does make some.
Yeah, Crowder, I like Crowder. He's got I mean, sometimes he did terrible decisions on his three-point shots at times. Key situations in the game
He
where.
made one last night.
Yeah,
that
he
was
made one
huge.
last night, but he takes them. But, you know, you want to play with confidence. What are we
Right.
talking about? He does everything else well. He's great defensively. He can cover just about anybody.
He's tough.
And he wants to be involved. So a guy that wasn't given a shot, he's given a shot.
The other guy who's played exceptional basketball lately is Brandon Bass.
Yeah.
He's been tough inside. He played absolutely terrific defense the other night.
You talk about respect, Ron. I mean, every Celtic fan must love him now. I mean, he kept his mouth shut early in the year. He wasn't playing as much. And look at what he's doing.
You know,
Just a great team.
Now, Memphis didn't have a good game last night. Part of that was because, as Barkley would say, Zach Randolph has never scored a basketball in his career going to his right. So every time he tried to go left, they doubled him, and they held him down a little. I mean, he's a terrific player. They said one of only 8 players who've averaged or I think there have been 10 players who've scored at least 15 points a game and 10 rebounds a game for 8 seasons. And they're talking about Hall of Fame. Tommy kind of said, no, I don't.
He might be
more
getting a
time.
little old now, too. His stats haven't been as great when I'm looking at them in the paper. But how about Olenek last night in Zella?
Yeah, Olenek was solid. His first couple games back from his injury, his timing was way off, his shooting was way off. He looked a lot better last
And
night.
he finally took 12 shots. I mean, if he takes around 12 to 15 shots a game, he's going to score. He can score a number of different ways.
Well, one thing we agree on is that Jared Sullinger is an expendable commodity.
And you know, another thing, too, is I hope I am 100% wrong on Smart. Everybody loves Smart. And I was listening to him last night after the game saying that he just dominates a game on defense. You know, but that's not what it's about. You got to score in the NBA. When you're open, you got to hit the shots. There's some games where they hit the shots. I don't know. You know, what I'm hoping is he's like Lewis. Havlicek, when he came to the Celtics, wasn't a great shooter. I'm hoping he works on it.
Well, I think he'll get better.
You got to be better on it.
Well, a guy who's become a very accomplished mid-range to three-point shooter is Bradley. I know you don't like Bradley, but he's become a closer. He's the guy that they look at to take the last shot because he can make it. His form, the more I watch him, and then people are going to say, no, he reminds me of JoJo White. It's not just quite as quick as White, but it's getting there.
No, he's good. He's got that pull-up jump shot. You can't handle the basketball.
Can't drive, no.
He's a guard. He can't handle the basketball. He's terrible on the pick and roll. He throws his bounce passes at the feet. You know, he's not a smart player, but maybe he's still young. Maybe he learns and gets better. He loves Thomas. They played together when they were younger. So maybe playing with Thomas will help him out.
Well, and the other
he
thing,
has talent,
right? When as basketball guys, you say, how are we going to score the basketball? You know, that's one thing. And the Celtics seem to have come up with a formula where they figured out a way to score. Obviously, getting Thomas makes a big difference because in the fourth quarter, he's just lights out. And how are you going to defend the basketball? They're double teaming a lot. And that's okay because all great players want to play in space. If you double them, they don't like it. You don't see LeBron James going into double teams. He'll pass the ball, but I'm sure he'd rather score.
What do you think of Turner? I kind of
I'm not wild about him. I think as a spot player, he's okay. He plays hard on defense. He can go to the basket pretty well. I don't really like his shot.
But, you know, looking at the team now, I love watching him play. But I'd rather see Bradley in there than Smart. Even though Bradley, I just think Smart.
I think you can put 3 of them at times. You can put them out there because
of their defense.
Smart can play the 3, and Smart is a pest. You know, obviously he had a block last night that was a foul that he got away with against the guy who used to be on the Celtics. But they're just not boring to watch anymore. So it's good basketball. Stevens is a really good coach. You know, I think Stevens is going to have a reputation as being one of the best coaches in the league because they have nobody. They don't really have any. They have nothing.
Well, they're playing together.
Yeah, they have nothing approaching a star.
There, but there's talent there that's playing together. I mean, look at Atlanta. Well, they have Teague and they have a couple of those big. What's his name? The kid from Florida is real good. The big guy.
Well,
but
Horford.
Yeah, but you know, getting back to the Celtics, right? I think there's a lot of talent there, and that these are players that weren't given a chance. And you're watching them, and those are the players you want to watch play, because you know they're going to give 100% every second.
Well, exactly. In the NBA, I don't know what percentage it is, but a certain number of times the players are just not playing that hard. So if you come out and just play harder than they do, you can beat them on that basis alone. Now, that's not going to win you any championships, but it can be endearing in the meantime until you get that player. The Celtics are going to be way under the salary cap. They can try to get somebody.
Do you think Smart, in a way, I know it could be like Wade?
Wade's a good defensive player. If he can, I think
'Cause
he'll
Wade
learn how to
wasn't a
shoot.
great shooter when he came up, but he was strong in the lane.
Right. Well, LeBron wasn't a great shooter.
No.
Tracy McGrady wasn't a great shooter. I mean, if your job is to go to the gym and take 300 shots every day, you're going to get better at it. And I think he's a intelligent kid. He obviously is a competitive kid. So I think he'll be okay.
Hope as the years go on, maybe he'll turn out to, because he's a hard-nosed player, and usually hard-nosed players are successful.
Yeah, it's hard to get enough of those. Now, the other guy that I think has done more than I expected him from this year is Zeller. He's not the greatest rebounder, he's not the greatest shot blocker, but he's pretty good around the basket. He works hard. He doesn't have to play 35 minutes a game. So between Zeller and Olenek, you know, they're okay. It'd be great if they could get a big, powerful shot blocking force.
That's the one.
The Ben Wallace.
That's why I'm saying Sullinger with Olenek. Olenek's 7 feet.
Yeah.
You know, and he can score in many ways. You know, he sets great picks. He's great on the pick and pop. That's why I like him better than Sullinger. But you're right, they need that.
They need the kid from Kentucky that I can never remember his name, the hyphenated name kid.
Oh, they need a 6'11", 7-foot guy who can leap and change the shots. That's what they need.
So, well, we'll see how that goes. It's spring training. The Red Sox have been winning in spring training, which, you know, I don't know what that means. You know,
Nothing.
Probably, yeah, nothing. The other story, which I can't actually stand, was Will Ferrell, the 47-year-old journeyman going around to play 9 different positions in the Cactus League. I guess they're trying to make it interesting. It's not going to work.
No, I haven't even paid attention to any of those games. The Yankees played. All I know is I saw A-Rod hit a home run.
Yeah, the biggest impact move in the American League East is the season-ending injury to Marcus Stroman, the right-hander on Toronto. He's a really good young pitcher, and he's out for the season, and the Blue Jays are short probably about a number 2 starter now. So that costs them a lot. There's a lot of other guys who are hurt. Cliff Lee was looking for a trade. He has a sore arm now. He
Forget
can't
about
pitch.
him now.
Yu Darvish on Texas is getting a second opinion as to whether he needs Tommy John surgery. I mean, if you have a torn ulnar collateral ligament, the inside ligament on your arm, it just hurts like heck. And every time you throw the ball, it hurts. So you can still throw the ball hard, but it just hurts, and people just can't deal with that.
You know, the best pitching staff in baseball is going to be the Yankees. You watch.
Well, they're certainly going to have a superpower bullpen, and injuries make the difference for everything. The Red Sox, their grand plan of putting Rusney Castillo in center field kind of blew up when he got an oblique muscle tear early, which to me also, that's one of those injuries you see steroid guys get. So I'm not saying he took steroids. I just wonder. And I haven't heard anything about Moncada lately, because he was supposed to pass a drug test before they signed him. So I haven't. We've been waiting for this drug test for days. So every day that it doesn't come out that he passed makes it more likely to me that he didn't pass.
Well, the Red Sox are still in good shape with Betts.
Yeah, I like Betts.
And Holt, they got Holt too, who can play anywhere.
And Victorino, he has general body soreness, which whatever that means.
And the Panda's still there.
There was a video of the Panda with one of those ladders doing agility drills. I said, Panda's a pretty agile guy. I don't know if he can field or if he can run, but he's really good on that ladder.
Which side did he hit 199?
Right.
Right side?
Yeah, he's a much better left-handed hitter.
So when teams throw lefties at him, he's going to bat from the right side. They hit him 199.
I don't know what they're going to do.
Kelly was throwing the ball 99 miles an hour the other day, they said. And he said he's still not loose.
Well, it's Florida. If he can't get loose in Florida, wait till he comes back here. And I don't know what the latest is on the Cole Hamels deal. I don't see the Red Sox giving up Swihart.
I think they're happy with the starting pitch in the Red Sox.
Probably are. You know, they have some success in the spring training. Apparently, Buckholz put some, made some T-shirts. Each one says, "I'm the ace," or "ace" on the front, and the starting pitcher of the day has a T-shirt that says, "I'm today's ace" or something. So you never know.
But that's that line. I think the bullpen's going to be a problem for them. I mean, for the Red Sox.
All right. So the first question as we try to sign off is, what were we most right about this year? And the issue we were most right about was that Rajon Rondo is the most overrated guy in the league. He goes to Dallas, totally blows up with the coach. Max deal, forget about it. Rondo's going to the Lakers. Maybe he can rehabilitate his career out there.
You know, the fans should just look. The fans. I told you why he was with the Celtics so long, because the owners wanted him, because the young kids that don't know any better were going to the games. I mean, the people that have been watching basketball for years, I mean, you know better. You know Rondo was not a type of player who can lead you. He was fine with Pierce and Allen and Garnett, but with a team that's rebuilding, you don't want a player like Rondo dominating everything.
And the second question is, who is the worst free agent acquisition that the Patriots made during the Belichick era? And
I know who it is.
yeah, I think we both agree on that. Adalius Thomas.
Yeah, it could have been him, or it could have been, who's a big lineman they got that was an idiot to the Washington? He's from Washington. Was it Worth something, Hainsworth?
Oh, yeah, Albert Hainsworth.
Hainsworth.
Yeah, that never worked out either. Anyway, I've enjoyed being with you tonight. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph LaBella, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports.